last on this 8-game Monday in the NBA. 2 of them are right here on NBA TV. And, well, the first one's in Chicago, a place that the 2 of you are pretty familiar with, right?
Well, we'll let the champ start first.
Legends.
We wore red. We wore red today.
We're all somewhat coordinated without actually sending out a group text.
Right there, I'm telling you.
We are in
us.
sync. We are totally in sync.
But we do have a second of our doubleheader, and our 3D Dennis Scott is covering it from Staples Center, but he's going to join us a little bit later on. We've got to talk a little bit about the Lakers because, well, frankly, they've been struggling a bit. The Lakers will welcome the Hornets to LA in this one. They've lost a couple in a row, 3 of their last 8, all of which, by the way, came with LeBron James on the sidelines. Tonight, though, the first of 2 meetings with the Hornets this season. The Lakers have won 5 straight against them, but look at these numbers. Their offense is ranked 20th in the league. The defense is ranked 14th. You can take a look at some of those breakdowns statistically. They've lost all but 1 of their games against teams that made the playoffs last season, and 2 of their losses came from Thunder comebacks. So, let's start with Anthony Davis and the superstars in this matchup. He's upgraded to probable to play in this one. It seems perhaps silly to ask how important he is to this Lakers roster, but how important is it to a team that's expected to contend to have its stars on the floor?
It's very important. And to be honest with you, I don't think you can clearly judge a team until they're fully healthy, but that's the thing. We don't know when they're going to be fully healthy. Anthony Davis has been battling injuries and illness this season. LeBron James, we don't know when he is going to be back with his abdominal strain. But at this point in time, I feel like they signed Russell Westbrook to kind of get them through these moments that they knew, were going to occur this season. And for them to blow leads as they have, I don't know if they were expecting to lose to the Thunder twice. And I really want to challenge the Lakers coaching staff because I feel as though sometimes when you have the best player in the game of basketball in LeBron James, Anthony Davis, probably one of the best power forwards, voted to top 75. When you have those 2 players, I don't know if you have to be intentional within your offense. But we talked about it last night on the show. I would like to see Russell Westbrook closer to the basket. I would like him to operate more in the mid-post area than he has this season. And I think they can utilize that to their advantage when they do get LeBron James back, when they do get Anthony Davis back.
Isn't it interesting, though, Isaiah, even as she's talking, I'm thinking she's kind of the perfect example of watching this having happened this summer. You go through a stretch of games where your team is perhaps in that conversation to contend, Candace, and then you're hurt and you're sidelined. And frankly, you're important to that lineup. And so we didn't really have an idea of what your team was until the postseason. And of course, we saw what the team could become, but we could be looking at a similar situation.
We could be, but they don't have a Candace. when you talk about the Lakers, I mean, seriously, if you want to make that analogy, Candace played. Candace wasn't injured.
Well, no, throughout some of this season, yeah.
But she was still present.
Yeah.
Right? When you look at this Laker team, my concern with them is this. They're old across the board. They all have great resumes, but they don't have that energy, they don't have that spark. Now, can they get to the playoffs? If they get to the playoffs, then you're looking at 3 to 4 days rest in between games. But during the course of the regular season, I think this is what we're going to see with the Lakers. I don't know if this is going to get better because there's no energy, and you mentioned the coaching staff, but where do you go with this team? A lot of talent, a lot of resumes, but does it really fit together and can they really work together? That I don't know. But once we get to the playoffs, I do believe that they can turn it on because they'll have a 3 or 4 days rest in between games.
Well, like I said, our 3D, Dennis Scott, is in LA to cover this game for NBA TV. I want to start there, though, with Anthony Davis, 3D, because he was listed as questionable for the Lakers on Sunday. He played just a few minutes before he left with a stomach illness. He's been upgraded to probable in this one. How is he feeling? What do we know now?
Yeah, Kristen, you're right on point. He has been upgraded to probable. He will come out and try to warm up before the game and see how he feels, obviously, and give it a go. But the conversation you guys are having If AD, Isaiah and Candace, is not close to 100%, if AD is not one of those guys we're talking about top 5 players in the NBA this season, it's going to be a long year for the Lakers. Because let's call it what it is, Zeke. You hit around the head. This team is older. And I was telling somebody earlier today where look at what Chris Paul did older when he went to OKC. He had young energy, Isaiah, you tapped on. He took them to the playoffs. Look what Chris Paul did with a young, energized Phoenix team. They go all the way to the finals. Obviously, there were some injuries last year in the Western Conference, but they still got there. So I'm concerned, can AD get to a top 5 player like we know he can be? We know LeBron's going to be LeBron. Russell, we know he's struggling right now. And I think, Candace, you hit it on the head as well with Frank Vogel and his coaching staff. Is there enough energy in that team to get this building going to weather the storm, to get to the playoffs, Isaiah? Because I'm not sure they can do it. As we saw last year when they were the 2 seed, LeBron gets hurt, AD gets hurt, they drop all the way to 7, and they struggle. So it's a lot of gloomy. Even though the sun's out in L.A. today, it's still a little gloomy, guys.
3D, we realize it is a long season. And, just as players, we understand how sometimes the media can overreact. And I think that you can have a standpoint in terms of offensively that we knew that it was going to take a long time for this team to gel with their 2 stars and adding Russell Westbrook and adding Carmelo. But they are 14th ranked in defense. So how do you see them being able to defend against teams that are in the Western Conference that are going to compete as fully healthy against a Utah Jazz, against a Golden State, against a Phoenix Suns? So where do you think that they can prove on that 14th ranked defense?
Well, that's where I lean on Frank Vogel, because that's his forte. That's where he lays his hat as being one of the best coaches in our NBA from the defensive-minded. So now how did he get these older guys to buy into the rotations you need? But, Isaiah, you know this. It's night in and night out. Do guys buy in on that end of the floor on those dog days, those cold days in Detroit, those cold days in Cleveland? Will those old players want to buy into the team defense?
No, they don't.
You're supposed to be asking questions.
Wait, let me be more emphatic.
I tried, Zeke. I tried.
Hell no. 3D, it's like, you and Candace say it's a long season, right? When you're young, right, you hear it's a long season and we got a lot of games left and you're like, right. Oh, yeah, we going to Philadelphia, oh, we going to Milwaukee, and oh, we going to Chicago. But when you're old and they say it's a long season, you're like, oh, man, it's a long season. So my question is to you, 3D, out in sunny LA, with this long season ahead, and we depending on Anthony Davis to give the Lakers energy, spark, showtime, energize the building. Can he consistently do that night in and night out, or at home and on the road? Now, Anthony Davis, top 75, but can he bring that energy consistently?
As of what I've seen right now in this short 10-game, 11th game being tonight, I don't see it right now, the guys. I know Laker Nation going to get mad at me, but until we see this older team, until we see Russell Westbrook change his stripes a little bit late game situation and make better decisions, until we see AD get to that, we know what LeBron will be once LeBron gets healthy and gets back on the floor. Now, the bigger question, LeBron, in year 19, can you do this? Can you bring all these guys together and take this team to the playoffs and possibly the finals? Ooh, Zeke, if LeBron can do this, this will be probably one of the biggest feats we've seen in the NBA if LeBron can pull this team to the finals.
The Hornets, though, 3D, are also looking to snap a losing streak. They started the season 3-0. What is it, though, that's led to dropping 6 of these last 8?
Well, it's real simple. It's their defense. They're so exciting. They try to get out and run. When the ball goes through the net, they push it. But the more they push it, and Zeke, you know this, if they don't get back in defense, they're giving up easy shots, easy three-point shots, and things of that nature. So I know tonight they're going to try to get off to a fast start. I know LaMelo's going to be excited. His first time being in front of fans from last year. So it should be a fun game tonight for LaMelo.
We've seen young players in this league challenge themselves in the media. And LaMelo said after last night's loss, I feel like I've got to be in there longer for the fourth quarter. I feel like it came in a little late in the game. They blew a lead with the Clippers. Clippers went on a run in that fourth quarter. How much of what his statement is truth, and how much is it that he is a young point guard and has a lot to learn in this league?
Well, I think it's a combination of everything, Candace. First of all, you want your young point guard to be confident and say, Coach, I want to be in the game, versus him saying, no, Coach, I'll wait a while. So you embrace that confidence. Now, the question is he willing to learn on the fly, continue to play the right way? And one thing we all know so far with LaMelo, he's willing to share the basketball. So it's all about the defensive end. He plays the passing lanes. It's all about them as collectively as a team getting better.
Thank you so much for joining us, 3D. I'm going to plug before you go. We will see you on the second of our doubleheader on NBA TV tonight.
Yes, I would say, and I would change clothes for you too, Chris. And
Oh, you are?
I'll have on a tie later.
Did they not let you know in advance that you were doing this with us? Is that what happened?
No, I just wanted to have on 2 outfits today because I'm in LA because the sun's shining.
He's such a good teammate.
Are you
Love
going?
that.
3D, are you gonna work out with the Laker girls behind you? The Laker girls.
I'd pay to see that.
Do I got it?
He's living life.